11.
It's a handoff to Green Ellis on the left side, inside the 10, inside the 5, and inside the end zone. Touchdown, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. Play action fake, Brady looking to the end zone, fires. It is caught down inside the 1 and inside the end zone for the touchdown. Goes Wes Welker.
Live from New England Patriots training camp in Foxborough, Massachusetts. It's the Sirius XM Blitz. Here are your hosts, Adam Shine and Randy Cross.
It is the Sirius XM Blitz here on Sirius XM NFL Radio. Adam Shine, Randy Cross, talking football with you, 877 NFL Kick, 4 hours of simply outstanding National Football League conversation at the aforementioned telephone number, 877 NFL Kick, on a very busy Tuesday on the big show and in the National Football League, as we are excited to be broadcasting live from Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, New England Patriots training camp. Randy, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, can't wait to get a look-see and hear from some of the Pats, Bill Belichick, the rest. This is one of those teams around the league that people are sort of pigeonholing, as they do every year, as one of the favorites, if not in the AFC overall. Absolutely,
Randy, and optimism is, as always, sky high when you take a look at the New England Patriots. But, we were joking before, you listen to some people in the area, you get the feeling as if the Patriots haven't accomplished anything over the last few years. I mean, all they do is go 14-2, and it's like, cookie crumble, sky is falling. Hey, as you say, the Patriots, without question, are in the mix for the Super Bowl. You have Belichick, you have Brady. Before we get into the changes on offense and defense and the draft and the key players, you have Brady, you have Belichick. You have a great opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and win the big game.
That really speaks, I think, that combination and some of the surprise players, a guy like Danny Woodhead last year getting picked up on waivers from the Jets and what he was able to do in this offense. A lot of the things they were able to do offensively built a lot of that 14-2 record last year. Mm-hmm. And that comes directly with the chemistry, I think, involved with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and what this team projects. Now, what they're trying to improve is what a lot of teams, I think, that are known for their offense are always trying to improve, and that's more of their physical nature, their physical persona, both as an offense to a degree, but mainly on the defensive side of the ball.
And to your point, I think that the common denominator, when you look at the loss to the Jets in the playoffs last year and the Ravens the year before, both obviously playoff losses at home, I think both of those outfits were more physical than the New England Patriots, and no one knows that better than Coach Belichick, and you don't have to get a comment from him. You just see the moves that they've made in the offseason. And, Randy, let's start with the defense, as they're going to certainly be playing more of the 4-3. Now, I think that they've played more of the 4-3 in the recent past than maybe some outsiders give them credit for. But obviously with Sean Ellis, and we'll get into his physical condition in a little bit, with Albert Haynesworth, they're going to be playing a lot of the 4-3 defense, which, let's be honest, we talk about pass defense, run defense. At times, this defense underachieved for the New England Patriots last year.
Yeah, especially against the run, especially inside. And it was one thing that I think went underappreciated when you looked at the Patriots was the job that guys, kind of like when you look at Pittsburgh Steelers, the Smiths and what he did at end, and Von Oelhoffen and Casey Hampton in the middle. You look at this defense: Ty Warren, Richard Seymour, Vince Wilfork. They dominated at times when this team was winning Super Bowls inside and enabled the linebackers to make a lot of plays. Look at the pickups they've made. And the best explanation of what they're doing that I've given, I think, is if you think this is a brand-new approach, I think you might be looking at it wrong. Because if you look back at some of the all-pro teams and you look back at some of the Pro Bowl teams, Richard Seymour, defensive tackle or defensive end most of the time.
I hear you.
Usually defensive tackle in most people's mind, because he spent so much time slid down and reduced over the guard that he was considered, more than anything else, a defensive tackle in a 4-3, and you'll see that style an awful lot.
Absolutely, and I think that, you look at the changes up front, obviously, Albert Haynesworth comes over via trade after his nightmarish few years with the Washington Redskins, and it was one of those transactions when it was made, I smiled on the air. I said to Rich Gannon, this is going to work out brilliantly, because Haynesworth obviously was disgruntled, and you know what? Bill takes guys who are disgruntled, who have been stars, and make no mistake, Albert Haynesworth was a megastar, one of the best defensive players in the sport just a few years ago, which is why he got that contract with the Washington Redskins. I think Albert Haynesworth is going to get back to that form playing for Bill Belichick and the Patriots this year.
Well, if you think about pass rush, and it's the one thing that's been missing from this defense specifically, you can generate it from the outside. You can be like a Pittsburgh Steelers team who has a dominant linebackers. Then they mix it up inside with a little blitz. Or you could go to a defensive tackle, more of a down lineman-oriented approach, and you can get that pressure from the inside. Let's say Haynesworth does work out. Let's say a Sean Ellis. And I think it's one of the really intriguing things about signing a guy like Ellis is the fact that he's able to produce pressure from a true 3-4 defensive end type of a position, which, like we said earlier, is at times working over the guard when it comes to the pass rush.
You look at Sean Ellis, placed on the PUP list. I can't say I'm totally surprised by that, and Bill obviously is going to take it slow. You shrug your shoulders. I mean, a lot of guys in the beginning of August are placed on the PUP list. Now, the Patriots gave him a lot of guaranteed cash, something the Jets were reluctant to do. I think the Jets have had, and we'll get into a Jets-Patriots comparison in a little bit. I think the Jets are a great team. I think they've had a great offseason. But I think this is a blow for the Jets and a major positive for the New England Patriots. Sean Ellis, I don't think he's the player he was 5 years ago, but still can get to the quarterback, can stop the run, team leader, good practice player, can play in the 3-4, play in the 4-3, play in the hybrid defense. This, to me, is a very logical move for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and I think it's based, solely on the last Sean Ellis that this team saw. You want to get out the DVD and go through that playoff game,
purely
divisional game here in this stadium on this field. What Sean Ellis did against the New England Patriots, I'm sure left a lasting impression once he truly became available. And much what he did at New York for the Jets, which is really a role-based defense. That's what these guys do. It's a role-based defense, and he'll be given the same role he was given in New York, and he'll do it well.
And the pass rush has got to help out the young DBs because, at times, you look at the stats, you look at the rankings, you watch them play, even in wins, even against Detroit on Thanksgiving. They gave up some big pass plays. There's no question about that. But, boy, Randy, there is some talent on the back end at the defensive backfield positions for the New England Patriots.
Well, they've drafted big time to the defensive backfield over the course of the last several years, and I think it's one of the things locally pointed out as almost a flaw in this system is that, well, look at the draft picks they've wasted, quote unquote, on certain guys that maybe haven't worked out at corner, specifically at corner. Yeah, have they misguessed at corner? Yes. Have they misguessed at receiver occasionally? Yes. Go with the record. Don't go so much with the failed defensive back picks, but I think in this defense, Bill Belichick has been very in touch with the fact, and mainly it's because he sees what he does in practice every day as an offense. You better have 3, 4, 5 corners.
Absolutely.
Guys that can cover.
Absolutely.
That's why when Philly did what they did with Nnamdi, and people said, well, which one of those guys is going? And I was looking at the Eagles' schedule, and I went, no, wait a minute. I'd want him against him. I want him against him. I want 3 corners.
No
That's
question.
my starter. When you start a starting lineup on defense these days, would you truly list 2 corners, 2 safeties?
3 receiver sets, 4 receiver sets or so involved?
Yeah. So why not? You work with Rich all the time, and Rich would be the first one to tell you the whole thing about thinking of football as a starting lineup, traditional. Here's what they are. They're a 4-3, or it's a traditional set offense. Is a little archaic because
no question.
Starting lineups mean nothing.
And you have to believe, we're talking about Bill Belichick, who's going to go down in history as one of the best defensive minds in the history of the National Football League. And you have these young, talented DBs. You have some strong linebackers. Mayo's an immense talent, one of the best linebackers, in my opinion, in the conference.
And don't discount that ability as to why you play more deep down linemen in front of them.
Great point, yeah.
In a 4-3 style, because this is a burgeoning superstar at inside linebacker.
Oh, I think absolutely, and I think that he hit his peak last year. I think he is a flat-out bona fide star, and now you make those changes up front. I really believe the Patriots will be vastly improved on defense, Randy, as opposed to what we saw last season.
Yeah, they will be. I believe so, and you know what? They have to be. This is a game. This is a situation with the free agency happening the way it has, the competition in the AFC East. If you're not getting 15 or 20% better, much like the challenges every year for a world champion.
Right.
Well, forget world champions, but in the AFC East, if you're not getting that 15 or 20% better and finding that edge, you're backing up to everybody else.
Bill Belichick is going to be on the show coming up at around 1 Eastern time. Looking forward to that. bunch of players coming on throughout the course of the next few hours. We're going to start rolling out some players coming up around 11:30 Eastern time. And I can't wait to talk to Coach about Chad Ochocinco. I mean, in theory, it doesn't make any sense that Chad and Bill would have this love affair and that, Bill has respected him for years and Chad's wanted to play for Bill Belichick. And, I love Bill. I don't know about Twitter. I don't know about MySpace. I mean, it's just a classic Bill Belichick right there. Randy, you've been around this team for a long time. You do their preseason games. Take us through what you see in terms of that relationship with Coach Belichick and Chad Ochocinco.
Well, what people are missing is the common ground between those two specific people, and those two being Chad Ochocinco / Johnson, whichever, and Bill Belichick. We all know the football mind that Bill is and what an incredible passion he has for the game of football. What goes either underreported or underappreciated is Chad's the exact same way. He wasn't calling Marvin Lewis at 3 o'clock in the morning just to check in and see how Marv's night of sleep was going or wasn't going. But, he wanted to talk football. His mind, he's always on that. Now, can he get a little scattered? Can he be a little bit different? Yeah, obviously. Go with the empirical evidence on that one, but never look past the point where they've been around each other at Pro Bowls, and it's easy for a coach to see a player who really, truly loves playing the game of football. And I think that's what was at the genesis of him ending up here as a Patriot.
How much gas do you think he has left in the tank? How could he help out Tom Brady in the Patriots offense?
Well, number one, there won't be much of an issue as to accuracy on routes. I'm sure you and Rich have already discussed what happens the first couple times he rounds a corner or shortens a route or something. He might hear from number 12 with,
Tom will take care of it.
With some rather colorful language. So I think that's not going to be a problem. I think what he adds is he adds the ability to kind of take the lid off. He adds everything in the back end and the sides of a defense. You don't need him to go inside, which is good because he doesn't like that. And he hasn't done that very well over the last couple of years. So that's what he's going to add to this offense. I think he's got the ability to go between the hash marks 15, 20 yards down the field. And Wes Welker will still do his business inside. They've got the great duo of tight ends inside. They've got the running backs coming out of the backfield. So I think what he does is he adds a little bit of what Randy Moss added. He doesn't have the juice of a Randy Moss, but
right.
it's a little bit of that role.
You mentioned the names. Wes Welker obviously as good and steady as it gets at the receiver position. Branch is Branch. The tight ends, so young, so good, so diverse, so dynamic. Woodhead catching passes out of the backfield. This offense, this passing attack, Randy, going to keep on keeping on in terms of the accuracy, the precision, and the sizzle and the ability to dominate on offense.
Yeah, and they've made some changes to this offense, and it's been something that they've done over the course of the last couple of years. This is a team that's, between the 2009 draft and the 2010 draft, added about 25 rookies to their roster. Really has gotten younger. And as you saw Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers do to the Pittsburgh defense, did they run the ball crazy? No, but they ran it when they really had to,
right,
and they ran it out of the spread. That's what drove people nuts last year, and and we're going to talk to him later. Danny Woodhead became a darling based on spread formations, running the ball, going to air.
You look at the running attack. It's good. Mm-hmm. It's solid. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, we'll have him on the show. Danny Woodhead, they draft a couple running backs. Do you think that this running attack is good enough? Not only, Randy, let's even talk bigger picture for a second.
Yeah.
Not just for the regular season, but for the New England Patriots to advance in the postseason and get back to the Super Bowl.
The big difference maker to me, and maybe Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis can be that guy, is they've always, when they were great, they had a closer.
Yes.
In New York, Mariano Rivera, the fact that if you get to the ninth inning, he's going to close the game. In basketball, that guy you can always give the ball to that it will either do one or two things. He'll eat time, or he's got the ability to get to the basket and score repetitively. In the NFL, it's that Corey Dillon.
Clock-killing Corey Dillon.
It was Smith before him. And maybe the kid Ridley, out of LSU, very powerful, not exactly overused in college, still has plenty of miles on the tread on the tires, as you would say. Couldn't be that style of guy, but that's the one role I think they're missing, is the ability to really run and hide and close the game with a run.
I think a huge deal for New England. Logan Mankins in camp. He's happy. He's focused. I mean, when he's right and he's actually here,